Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. Well, I am tickled today to bring you my guest, who is a singer, a spokesperson, an international motivational speaker. He's a professional voiceover artist, and he is an actor represented by the People Store Agency in Atlanta. And he frequently talks about the challenges of the music industry. He is also globally known for his album Whoomp, there it is. Oh, I'm ready. I'm so excited. And the album also includes Freestyle and You Go Girl. I love this. I'm just jazzed. You may already know him or recognize him from having been on the recently featured fun Geico auto insurance commercial with the 90s classic reel, the real school hip hop do. I love this tag team is back on top. Love it, love it, love it. I will tell you, it has generated over 14 million views on YouTube, and it's garnering even more fans on TikTok and a lot of other social media platforms. So, what is really exciting about this? Let me tell you a little bit about the background. That song originally burst onto the scene back with, oh my gosh, back on climbing up to number one on the Billboard charts within 14 days. There's something about this number 14 today, and I love it. So, this is one of those songs that automatically stick in your head. And for those who go way back and know it, it's been in there for a while. And for those of you who are just coming on the scene with Tag Team, you already have it stuck in your head too. I know you do. So let's welcome him to the show. Welcome, DC Glenn.
Hey, good to be here.
I am really jazzed about this because you guys have been on the move. And when I talked to you a little bit off camera, I was sharing with you about how much joy the commercial brought. And I will tell you, if I go really back far,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was already part of my day way back when. So just bringing it and seeing it on and how the twist and all of the things on screen came with it now really just made me want to get up and dance, and I felt so much joy. And I know this is something that is bringing lots of joy to at least 14 million people also.
Mm-hmm.
So I am delighted for you to be here.
Cool. I'm glad to be here.
So you've got a story. You have now been on the move. You're doing speaking, you are doing a lot of interviews, and one of the things I was wondering about is how many you have been doing recently, especially since the launch of your commercial.
Well, I've actually done podcasts a lot for a year, but just maybe like one or two a week. And that because one of my friends, he's like a podcast distributor, I guess, and he just started saying, "You want to do some podcasts?" I was like, "I'll do it," and I just started doing them. So once or twice a week, he'd send me something, and I'd be like, "Okay, cool." And just before the pandemic is when I started, and once the Geico commercial hit, I knew that we weren't going to be able to do shows because we're in a pandemic. And most of the time, when an artist gets a Geico commercial, they're on tour forever, right? Because it just brings them back into the forefront. Salt and Pepper had theirs in 2014.
Yes.
They didn't look back until the pandemic, right? So for me, I could have been happy and just sat there and looked at my Geico commercial on TV, but I chose a different path. I said I have to make this work in a way that is beneficial for me and makes this work, right? And I said, let me blow up acting and voiceover, everything else I do. So I tried to get a publicist, and all the publicists are like pandemic prone. They're like, well, we don't know what to do. We usually do it this way. They couldn't figure out a way to do it, and they didn't just want to take my money like that. So I understood that, and but I didn't quit.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I hit brick walls like that, because sometimes you don't quit, you just figure out a different way. And usually, what I do is I join an organization or a society. Organizations and societies are filled with masterful people in their own profession that form an organization, and these people have been doing it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And they have the knowledge that they can give you, and they stay up on their industry. So
Yes.
I joined the Public Relations Society of America, PRSA. And 2 days in, I'm on a Zoom call with the CEO of a PR firm, and everybody's asking questions. I raise my hand. Are press releases relevant? That's the question I asked, because I had a press release ready for the beginning of the Geico commercial. And I wanted a little verification, right? Because everybody's like, press releases don't work for me. They don't work. They don't work. And I'm like,
Really?
yeah, a lot of people were like, well, they're not. Okay, so there's people who understand what press releases are for, and there's people who think that a press release is going to make them rich because everybody's going to come and buy their product and give them, you know what I mean? There's the
Right.
instant gratification people, and then there's the people who understand that press release is a tool, right? And I understood that. That's why I waited, but I wanted to get verification because we're in a different day. We're in a pandemic. So I raised my hand, and the moderator's like, what's your press release about? And I'm like, well, kind of featured in a national Geico commercial called Scoop
Kind
There
of.
It Is. And I'm looking at the chat, and the chat starts blowing up. Like, that's my favorite commercial. I can't believe are you really him? Like, just all kind of questions, right? And it kind of took over the chat, time took over the Zoom call. And moderators like, we'd like to welcome DC to the organization. His first couple of days, and we're gonna talk about that Geico commercial afterward. And to the CEO, she's like, "Well, are they relevant now? Because that's a good question. We've been wondering." And the CEO's like, "Yes, because last year's been doom and gloom, and you guys come with a feel good story, and everybody's used all their content up because you can only watch so much Netflix and HBO Max, and
It's true.
right, and
Yeah.
the world needs something. And not only that, you do this, you go to this side to get in front of all the journalists, you go to this side to get in front of all the podcasts, this side to get the interviews, this side to get the talk shows, and then you make sure your pictures are like this and this and this and that and that. And she gave me the entire game in 10 minutes, and I haven't looked back. And it is the reason that you and I are talking right now, right? And what a way to flip the script. And this is giving me more and brought more to my world than I could have ever imagined. Just because I didn't give up, I thought differently, and I kept pushing. Right. So now I know this PR game inside out. So for me to do 5 or 6 a day, this is practice. Right.
I love it.
I learn more by talking to people. And if I can impart my wisdom, the wisdom of my experiences and the lessons and the tragedy and the gut wrenching things that seem bad at the time, and let people know, then that's my responsibility to talk to people and let them know the things I wish somebody had told me when I was a young man. Then I might have avoided some of the mistakes I made in my life. I don't
Mhm.
regret anything, but I know there's people out there that, if I could give somebody one little piece of advice, and it stops them, makes them think about what they're doing or think differently, that might be the one thing that takes them over the top. They might be
Yes.
so close, but then they give up, and then you'll never know, right? And everybody's lives are littered with things that they gave up on, advertently or inadvertently. So, the pandemic forced everybody to stop at the same time. You had to reevaluate, like, what am I doing? What am I going to do?
Yes.
And I just reinvented myself. And I was like, what can you do when there's no concerts, there's no shooting of movies, and there's no film? And I was like, this thing right here, and I record everything I do when I go to classes. So I went back 10 years ago and just reinvented myself because voiceover was a struggle, and I
Hmm.
didn't understand why I wasn't getting it. And I thought it was the teachers. I thought it was whoever was teaching me. And I'm like, they don't know what they're doing, but it was my hubris. It was me that was stopping me. And I thought I could just whoomp, there it is, my way through anything, right? And that was a big mistake. And once I went back and listened to my 10-year-old self talk 10 years ago self-talk, it was gut wrenching. And hearing my first voiceover to a script was just heartbreaking, right? But it was also inspiring because now, because I'm an actor and because I'm a voiceover, because I didn't give up, I understood what they were talking about now. I knew the language better. I didn't know the language back then. So
Hmm.
I said, I'm doing this first one over. And when I did it, it was angelic. I finally, after all those years, had mastery over my voice, right?
I
In a
love
way
that.
that I've never heard. And my life is full of stories like that, where no matter what I do, I don't give up. I just might have to come back to it, or it might come back to me, right? You never know what's going to happen when you plant those seeds. You can't
I
watch every seed grow.
I love how you're sharing it in that
Yeah.
particular light because that's something that I have told people many times over. You you cannot fail if you look at not ever giving up and you keep pursuing whatever it is that you're going after, even if okay, you had a little slip here or you had to move this over there, you there's no failure as long as you get up and keep going forward. Something about what you and Steve had originally done though before you just burst on the scenes. You guys had been doing your thing for a long time, like 10
Yeah.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that right there shows perseverance and the ability to continue to look forward, go after your goal, not give up on this. Because I know at that time there were some other things going on that were coming on the scene that were quite competitive, but you guys just nailed it. And really, I mean, just the listeners and the audience that you had really embraced you, and even more so. I mean, you hit a lot of cultures that may not have been ready for hip hop at that time, and just that just brought it on because that was
Yeah.
the original hip hop.
Yeah.
And
For a lot of people, you know what I mean? But not for
yes,
the people, not for, my culture. My culture, we were at the beginning, but there was 10 years before us that inspired us as kids, right?
mhm,
So we're being inspired, and now we're inspiring people, and we're letting everybody know that it's safe because we don't cuss, right?
yes,
And we cussed a little, but little bitty cussing, the PG-13 type cussing, right? And
yeah,
I think that's what people latched on to. And the fact that you could listen to it and party with your kids, you could do all these things, that brought hip hop to a different light.
yeah,
And it benefited us, and it's benefiting us today because every show we do is in a place where you wouldn't think we would be, because we don't cuss, right? We're in the middle of rural areas. We go everywhere all over this country. We're in the middle. I mean, I've been all over the world. So that transcends everything. And that's even my pitch, because another situation where I hit a brick wall was like 2015, 16. We've always done shows, and they're basically been relegated to NBA halftime shows or NFL halftime shows.
right,
It's those where we can do just Whoomp, there it is, like TV appearances, things of that nature, and those pay well. But I wanted to do more shows and do the full show and go on tour. And I started reaching out to booking agents, and they were like, "Well, you only got one song," and they were giving me every excuse why they couldn't, when they didn't give me one excuse why they should. You know what I'm saying? Give me one reason
yes,
why you should do this, right? And I said, okay. And I went and joined an organization called the International Entertainment Buyers Association. Because when it comes to concerts and entertainment, there's a hierarchy. You have your buyers, who
okay,
are the big boys who say, I want to do a concert series. Let's get it together. Then you have your venues, stadiums, amphitheaters, arenas. Then you have your big boy promoters, Live Nation,
yes,
iHeartRadio, and then you have your mom and pop promoters, which were the ones I was trying to get to. And they were like, "You only got one song." I was like, "All right." And then you have the managers, and then you have your artists. I go to their convention, 5,000 strong. Only black dudes in there is me and Chubby Checker, right? And I have a big Whoomp, there it is t-shirt on. I'm billboarding.
yes,
And I just start networking. And my pitch is solid. I'm like, "My name is DC Glenn. You might have heard the song Whoomp, There It Is, Tag Team." I was like, "Yeah, I've heard that song, man." Good to meet you. Yeah, good to meet you too. I'm just out here networking, and here's my card. Where I have a clean '90s nostalgic rap show, right? And if you need a little diversity or you want to switch it up a little bit, you can always throw us in. So here's my card. Talk. I'll fly where you're at. We can have lunch. And I did that with 1,000 people. Next thing you know, we start getting shows. We're doing rodeos, we're doing hotels, we're doing I mean, just at casinos, we're doing, charity events, fundraisers. We're doing all these different forms of entertainment because it's not just about concerts in a club or concerts in, an amphitheater. There's a whole world of entertainment places that we can perform that would love to have us. And the one hit fits that,
It
right?
does.
So you have to find, so if they tell you something, they're telling you something, your something is a solution to someone's problem. You just have to find those, get in front of those people, and then you'll solve that problem. And
Yes.
that's what I did. And then all of them started recognizing. They were like, "Hey, you want to come on?" Well, yeah, sure. I don't burn bridges. I could have been like, "Nah, you diss me." No, 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 no. I set it up that way. I never burn bridges. You never burn bridges because even if they tell you no, or even if they treat you shady, you can always go back. And they got to
Yes.
look you in the eye and they know they did that to you. And that's good
Yes.
enough. That's good
Yes.
enough. You both got it out your system. Now let's work. Let's start a relationship over.
That's a really good point. And I think that is where there is a lot of really hefty bumps in the road for people
Mm-hmm.
because they do burn bridges and then pride becomes an issue and they don't allow themselves to go back and sort of regroup with the situation
Mm-hmm.
and see what can be brought from it because not everything is always timed perfectly when you meet a person at a certain time or situation the way it should be in our minds, but not burning the bridges allow those seeds like you were talking about at the beginning of the show to
Mm-hmm.
sort of have been watered over time so that it blooms right when it needs to be. And I think we often do this in life where we just end up burning these bridges or we get sour about something because somebody did diss us. And and
Mm-hmm.
we're like, okay, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. But we end up only hurting ourselves in the long run when something like that happens because we do sometimes get a deeper relationship from the person that we thought it wasn't going to work with
They respect
because
you
of
more
that.
because you didn't burn the bridge,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what happens is everybody else will talk bad about them, but you don't have anything bad to say about them, right? Because they realize that you didn't burn the bridge and let's just work. And I
Yes.
tell people this all the time. I'm like, everybody says today's times are self gratification, instant gratification, all that, and it's always been like that. We always want it quick, right? And where you think the term fast money comes from, right? It's
Yes.
always been like that. And
Yes.
I tell people, just think about it this way: you don't plant a seed and then sit down, cross your legs, and look at the seed and say, "Come on, seed, grow, seed. I need you to grow right now. I need to eat now. Grow, seed, grow." The seed don't work. I quit. You don't do that. You wouldn't do that with a plant, right?
That's right.
So why would you do that in real life, right? And people do it all the time. And I don't do that. I plant the seed, keep it moving. I'm moving, moving, moving. Sometimes there are so many seeds I forgot I planted. And because all these seeds were planted and you didn't worry about it and you stayed on offense, you know, right here, right now, today, I stand before you in a forest of opportunity because I got seeds hitting me in the head from when I did plant them 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, yesterday, right? You don't know what type of seed it is. You don't know how it's going to grow. You don't know its maturation process. You don't know any of that, but you keep going forward because when you're younger, people are like, why are you doing this? You're doing too much. You got the tentacles all over the place. But over time, those tentacles come and they form into one thing.
They
And
do.
all those things that you planted seeds on become one and they serve each other. And you know, people say the master, jack of all trades, master of none, which is true if that's how you think, but it's not true if over time, you know, some of those trades you become very masterful, right? And they
Yes.
serve a purpose in your overall game, in your overall plan. So for me, my thinking is just stay on offense because the pandemic taught me, you know, this is the time to fill your holes, strengthen your weaknesses, and all the
Yes.
things that you always wanted to do. Go back and think of the things that you quit. Think of the things that were way difficult that you wanted to do. Correct that. And now my life mission is different. My life mission is now I am not going to leave this earth, you know, regretting and wishing that I had did something that I didn't do, right? Like I wish I had learned how to play piano. That's not going to happen now. So now I got a tutor for music theory. I got a tutor for music production. I got a lady I've always, everybody's like, you need to invest in real estate, but I always avoided it. So I have a young lady that's teaching me about real estate and walking me through the whole process because the only reason I feared it because I didn't know about it. So learn
Right.
about it, right? Learn about it and learn about it at your own pace. And the beautiful thing, and the pandemic has switched so many paradigms because half the educators in this country were like, I'm not going back to class with the nasty ass kids, period. Right.
It's true.
But what did they do? They had to make income. So what they did is they went and they signed up for all the tutoring sites. So now the child that they were teaching in class, they're tutoring and getting paid for it now. They're
Uh-huh.
making more money tutoring people who want to learn things more than they were just being in school in the privacy of their own home. So now there's a site called wyzant.com, Wyzant. That's my go-to because if there's something I want to learn, there's a professional out there. I might be trained by somebody at Juilliard who shut down and they're teaching me and I'm going to Juilliard now.
Yes.
Same thing with acting. There's a portal called We Audition. See, my whole concept on learning is called Learn How to Learn, right? It's not okay to
Yes.
just learn. You have to learn how to learn so you can retain it, so you can see where to put it, what hole to put it in, how to make it work for you, how to make it vibe for you, what its importance in the universe is. So learning how to learn, we auditioned. My struggle with acting was I couldn't get a reader because I stay by myself. So if you don't have anybody that lives with you that can read for you when you have auditions, it's rough. So you
It's
got to
true.
cross
Yes.
town. You got to pay $70 for somebody just to read for you. Then some things they don't want to read. They don't want it just always something, and then you're nervous, and then you just have a bad audition, and now you don't spend 3 hours out of your day, and you spend $70.
That's true.
The pandemic changed that because we auditioned in New York, LA, all over the world, everything shut down. So now I've got readers. They improved the platform. I can do my auditions with We Audition, and now I'm working out like in the gym with Broadway actresses,
Uh-huh.
actors in Hollywood, soap opera actresses, classically trained actors in Europe, right? All the people who have done the same thing and worked as hard as I have, but now we're all working together and I'm learning from them what they know and they're learning from me what I know and my acting has now
I
I've done
love
two
that.
movies, I'm on two TV shows, I'm doing commercials, and this is all despite Geico. This is before Geico, right? This is just on the mere strength of the hustle and thinking differently. And now these are my comrades. And I've gotten to the point where some of these actresses and actors, I'm like, well, you live in New York? Find a good class, find the best class in New York, and then we could take it together. Oh, $700. Woo. Can't do two 700. Wait a minute. Check it out. This what we're gonna do. You're going to take the class for me, right? I'll pay for the class, but you're gonna take the class for me since you really don't have nothing to do and I'm busy. Then when we do auditions, you teach me the things that you learned in that class to make me better,
That's
right?
beautiful.
Learn how to learn, right? If I, like today, I had a deposition to read 60 pages, and I'm not about to sit there and read 60 pages of a deposition.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I would if I had to, but I don't because I'll throw it in the AI. Now it reads to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's reading to me while I'm checking emails, while I'm doing this, doing that. I'm multitasking. I'm cleaning up a little bit. I'm listening to it, and then if I do hear something, wait a minute, and then I'm reading along with it. Now it's reading to me, and I'm reading along with it. Oh,
Yes.
okay. And I retain way more information, right?
That makes a
So
lot of sense.
yeah, yeah, all these things are practical solutions to everybody's excuses. So I love when people give me excuses because that's an opportunity to make a solution for it. And
I
not
love
only do you
that.
make one solution for it, you can make 5 or 6 solutions for it, which makes learning enjoyable and learning not as challenging as it would be if you were just a one trick pony and you just say, well, I got to read this. Because you can read 2 lines and then you start daydreaming, or you get distracted, or you're I call it my saboteur.
Your
Your
saboteur.
saboteur is on your shoulder saying, "Man, let's go fix something to eat. You come back and read it." Perfect analogy. I'm laying in the bed. I know I need to go work out, but my saboteur is like, "Man, we're just gonna lay around all day." I'm like, no, we're
Yes.
not. And I do it slow. I get up, put one sock on, put the other sock on, put my pants on. Do what I got to do, one thing at a time. The whole time the saboteur is like, man, come on now, we don't got to go to the gym. But you
That's
do it
right.
one time. You don't just get up and do it. You do one little thing at a time. Then you get your keys. Now you're out the door. It's just a struggle to get out the door. And then you get out the door, and then you're in the car. You start your car, and your saboteur is like, man, we don't got to go there. Let's go here. Nope. And you keep going. Now you're at the gym. It's like, man, you don't got to go in there. You got this your last chance, and then you're in the gym and you're working out. Your saboteur like, we just gonna do a couple things, then we gonna eat some Wendy's, right? It's
That's
like
so true.
saboteur, right? And
Yes.
all of a sudden, your saboteur disappears, poof, and now you're working out, and now you've worked out your whole entire routine that you usually do, and then now you leave, you're sweating, you're sitting in your car, and the most beautiful thought comes to your mind that motivates you for the next day and the next and the next. Man, I'm glad I went to the gym today.
It's true.
And that is how I approach everything. I hate to do a lot of this stuff, but you know what? Just do it anyway, right?
That's
Do it anyway.
that's something that they share. Clinicians share if you're struggling with anxiety or depression because those
Mhm.
things put you down and they say just get up and do it anyway.
Do it
So a
anyway.
lot of what you're saying is just so spot on. What I really think will help those that are listening and watching is a key word that you said, and that was solution. So if they can think the word just solution. Okay, I have this I'm dealing with, whatever it is. What's my solution? And start thinking outside the box because that's what the pandemic did for a lot of people. We
Yes.
have changed things. And it has, if you really look at this from the perspective that you're sharing with the audience today, we can look despite, and I feel terrible for a lot of the tragedy that has happened, but if I want to turn this around and take a perspective that says, what's the positive that has come from this? There
Hmm.
is tremendous things that have made a shift for many, many people.
There's so much upside because 2020 was the greatest year of my life, honestly. Like at the end of 2019, my father passed away.
I'm
And
sorry.
but see that everybody does that, right? But what if his passing was glorious? What if his passing was the perfect death, the perfect going home?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I experienced because my parents prepared me for life. My mother prepared me so much for death. She said it's just a part of life. You deal with it and you move on, right? But it's a part of life. So my father had ailments, right? He was old, but he didn't have cancer or anything bad like that. But he had outlived all his friends. He was ready to go. I can imagine that but I can imagine that, right? Because he had ailments and then he started going blind. And I think once you go blind and you've been able to do that all your life, it just wears you down. And
Yes.
he was worn down. And I remember having a conversation in the hospital with his doctors, and he was like, "Well, what you want to do, Dr. Glenn?" He's like, "I got one problem, doc." He said, "My sons won't let me die." And I was like, "All right." We that's how we're thinking. And then he's like,
Yes.
then the doctor's like, "Well, he's getting bad, so you might want to take him to the hospital." Like, no, we're not taking him to the hospital. We're gonna bring him back home, and we're gonna party, right? And we got back home, and he got better, right, for 3 days. But then he started declining, and the man passed away on his 82nd birthday in his own house,
Oh, wow.
in his own bed, on his own terms. Kicked all of us out, and he went home, right? And I guarantee,
Wow.
and I believe that to this day that my success is because of him in life, and my success moving forward is because of him, because I know him and the Lord are shining on me, because I've had such an incredible year. And I'm so grateful that he didn't have to go through the pandemic, because that would have been brutal. My mother did, but my mother has Alzheimer's. So she got COVID and kicked his butt, right? And I've got, to me, we had a great funeral. It was, we worked hard to put on a good, to do his wishes, and there was no sadness, there was no celebration. It was just a celebration, right? It was the true sense of what it's supposed to be to have a home going, and I experienced that. So for me, my life, I've acquired, my whole life I've acquired the ability, because I do miss my daddy, right? But I've acquired
Wow.
the ability to take all those negative emotions, put them in my pocket. Don't react, put them in your pocket, and use them for fuel for later, right? Anger, envy, distrust, hate, right? Fear. You take all those things, put them in your pocket, use them later. Because if I have a audition I have to do, and it calls for solemnness, I can think about my father, and then I'm there, right? I can be there, and then I'm not trying to be a character or a caricature. The character becomes me,
Yes.
and now it's truly real.
And in acting, that's how it's supposed to be. And
But it's
oftentimes
easier said
people,
than done.
yes,
I've struggled with that for just be yourself. Same with voiceover. It's like I can't. It feels like I got to talk like this, right? Instead of just talking like I'm talking. And you hear the nuances and the fluctuations and just the, because it's coming from here, right? It's coming from the heart, and it's a part of your body, and all those things. You're supposed to bring that to a character, and then the character becomes you. Then it's real. There's somebody that you, because everybody can relate to me right now, right? And that's because I'm me, So if
yeah,
the character is me, the character has a different name, but that character is that experience that I went through, which everybody else has been through, that they can relate to. And now you've touched somebody, right? Because you've kind of offered a solution, if that's a part of your role, in what they're going through. And for me, that's what the Geico commercial did. It brought people joy when
it
it was
did.
sorely needed. It put a smile on people's face. It made people giggle. It made people all the positive emotions, right? And for me to have that ability through my hard work, my hustle, my preparation, and be able to give that to the world, that is truly the blessing within the blessing, right? So, me being able to develop all these little mechanisms, positivity, and apply them, because trust me, it is way easier said than done.
True.
And all of it is hard. Don't get it twisted. Don't think I can do this flawlessly and it's easy. I was like, nope. It is the most difficult thing to do. But what's the alternative? You quit, you old and bitter. What? I don't even feel, all I feel like is me. I don't feel old. I have no regrets. I take responsibility that I signed a bad record contract. I take responsibility for all the things that I messed up in my life, because that's what you have to do to move on. And it's not, you can either look at the glass half empty, or you can look at the
True.
glass half full.
True.
And I just choose to look at everything the glass half full. And when I'm talking to somebody who might be conspiracy theorying, or somebody who might just be arguing with me, I'm like, okay, you made a statement. What's the solution? You can never tell me.
Yes.
They can never tell me. It's like, what's the solution? If it's such a problem, what's the solution?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. No, what's the solution? There's got to be a
Yes.
solution. If there's no solution, then that tells you what you've been talking about is false.
That is so true. And not only that, but I think if they can't provide a solution, it means the thought that needed to be there to have this conversation that's supposed to hold value and
Hmm.
change opinion and deliver this colorful palette of truth. It's not there. It's something that was possibly
It's
taken
fake.
from a source they read
It's fake. It's
online
not
or
real. It's not
right or
real.
some the
It's
little
their own idiosyncrasies. It's their own false narrative. It's their thing that
yes.
makes them feel good as opposed to the truth. I love to be wrong. I will admit it in a second because being wrong is the path to being right.
That's
And
so true.
you'll
I
never
love
be wrong at that
how you're
again.
saying that.
So get it over with. You know, and it's a full-time job sequestering my ego and my pride. It really is. But I've done it. I can do it. Sometimes I have to stop and it's infuriating, but you can't let people see it. And you just don't even engage. Or if you want to engage, you say, well, then tell me what's the solution. You know, like, some a friend of mine will call me and be like, man, the 5G towers are causing cancer. I was like, well, where you hear that from? Well, it's on Facebook. I was like, well, what's the solution?
Yes.
Tell me what the solution is then. What's the solution to that? Uh, I don't know. Take down the towers. It's like, nah, dude. I just have so many examples. Actress, right? She calls me and she's so upset because her camera didn't work. She had technical difficulties. She worked so hard to prepare for this audition and she couldn't do the audition. And she was just a wreck. And I was like, okay, that's the glass half empty. What's the glass half full? And she could not tell me. And she was like, well, what? And I'm like, you did the work. You're a better actress today than you were yesterday because you did the work. It ain't about the audition. It's about doing the work. Now you're better for the next audition. That's why I'm like, bring on. I can't wait for another audition. I don't even care if I get it or not. It's another chance to work, to show what I've learned, to show these
Yes.
casting directors, hey, I'm worthy. You can trust me because I'm going to put in the work. They might see you and not give you something, but they remember you because if you go to a party, you're invited to a party, what are you going to bring? You're going to bring what? Bottle of wine, cheese and crackers,
Yes.
casserole, what? Some chips and dip. Know what I mean? I'm
Of
bringing an
course.
ice sculpture. I'm bringing two turntables and a microphone and my records. I'm bringing a bounce gym for the kids out back. I'm bringing the barbecue grill and we're going to grill and have good food. I'm bringing the karaoke machine and we're going to have a ball. And you will remember that DC was at this party and DC made this party the party. It's the same thing with life. You got to get in front of people stealthily, right? Because you
Yes.
know where they're at. And you get in front of them and you let them see you hustle. You let them see the best sides of you without getting in front of them being thirsty,
True.
but I mean, that's all SEO is. SEO and search engine optimization, websites. That's the whole concept of Google. You got to think it differently. It's like I ask people, well, I got my website and I got my YouTube. It's like, yeah, but you didn't fill out your description. Yeah, but you didn't, why? I'm like, if you were looking for you, what would you type in? Oh, you're already starting at a deficit, right? That's the whole
Agreed.
game. If you're looking for you, what would you type in? And they got to be able to answer that question. And then you got to make sure that you're in front of that keyword or you're on the first page of that keyword because when you know that people are looking for you, they're going to find you.
That they will. Yes.
Yeah,
Most
10 years
definitely.
ago, you type in tag team, it was wrestling. I said this has got to stop. And it took me 10 years and now you type in tag team, it's tag team. Like people
Yes.
ask me to enter interviews, where can they find you? You just type in
Just
DC,
type.
tag team, anything, you'll find me because I
Yeah.
made it possible because I lay good breadcrumbs. That's how Geico found me. They called my phone and I didn't answer. because the phone number's on the website. And I got a dedicated line just for that. But they could have gave up then, but they didn't. They went to the internet, DC Glenn. Oh, he has an IMDb. Went to IMDb because I fill out all my profiles on every platform I'm on correctly. Now they call my agent. My agent calls me, says, DC, you just booked a Geico commercial. No, I didn't. Don't play with me.
Like,
DC, you just booked a Geico commercial. I'm like,
details matter.
oh, wait a minute. Tag team. Went back, listened to the message, let my agent make the deal because that's what they do. And it ended up being the most lucrative deal I've ever made. And now, that showed me that you have to let people find you. So every day I wake up making it a mechanism for people to find me. And this is a way to do it. Talking to people, you give what you want first. So I give everything I have to the universe, everything I have to people who want to listen. I give everything because I get 10 times back in opportunity. And now the key for me is, you think I'm working hard doing this, but I'm working hard preparing. Is preparation. So when I do these, I'm practicing storytelling, articulation. I'm learning what metaphors work, what metaphors don't, what analogies work, what analogies don't, how to tie in my stories with the stories that give people hope. I'm
Yes.
practicing all these things. And because I'm talking, I'm learning them daily. Daily, I get better. Every time I do one of these, I get so much better at talking to people because I'm talking to the different people. I could be
I love
talking to
it.
somebody in London. I could be talking to somebody in California, somebody in Oklahoma, somebody here, somebody there, somebody who's difficult, somebody old, somebody young. And I'm navigating all the barriers. And now we're more alike than I could have ever imagined because we're humans and we all speak the same language if we could just get out of our way.
It's
And
true.
we all can learn if we just get out of our way. And I know
Yes.
that the only thing that can stop me is me. And that's not gonna happen. But my saboteur tries on a daily basis. But I've gotten used to him. Sometimes he wins. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not perfect. He wins a lot, actually, more than I wish he would. But hey, you just got it's always a battle. It's always a fight. It's always about just move forward. There is no quid pro quo with this. I
Yes.
do this and I gotta get that. No, 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 no. Play offense. Just keep shooting.
Keep on.
Keep on keeping on. And it comes back to you. Like I said, it's not easy. I say all this is easier said than done. But people are sitting around waiting for it to come back the way it used to be. And they're going to just keep sitting around waiting for it to come back the way it used to be while you and I are standing in the frontier of
Yes.
everything that's possible. We can make our own lane. We can make our own path. We can live all our we can fulfill all our dreams if we just keep moving forward. Like you can build, you can build a lane here. You build your own lane, and it's your lane. You build another lane. Now you got a highway, and it's yours, right? And it can
Yes.
take you wherever you want it to go. So if you got a side street, okay, we gotta get off here because this is what this is. This is my animation career for animation voiceover. Well, I'm prepared for that because all I've been doing is preparing for every opportunity that's coming my way. So I know what I want to do. So you better be prepared, right? You better be prepared because my life is littered with opportunities that came my way and I wasn't prepared. I just
Me
wasn't ready.
too.
And in life, it takes a lot. Sometimes it takes time to get ready, right? Or you might be not mentally ready. So if you did get it, it might have been detrimental to your whole existence because you weren't ready. That's happened before. So, you know, I just, if there's anything that I can impart upon people, the one thing, whenever you want to learn something, I did a little, one of my high school classmates called me and said, can you just leave a little excerpt for all the kids that are going to graduate this year? What would you tell them to do if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were young and do something? I was like, whatever it is you want to do, join an organization because you can get a whole college education in a day if you do it right. Right. And you join that organization. Now you have resources that can help you do this quickly. You still have to put in the work. It's still going to take time, but you can be in college and still learn about real estate on the side because you're in an organization. You could be in high school and still learn about auto mechanics because you're in that organization and they're teaching you. And now that's helping you get straight A's in that class, or
Yes.
in college, right? You can join a society of philosophers, and that can help you get an A in philosophy in college because you're with professionals who have been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And there's no better learning from than people who have actually done it and are still doing it and doing it well, because it's just fun to have those conversations. But
Oh, it is.
if you're in a book, you just have too many ways to sabotage yourself. So look at, and I do this because a lot of kids are not going to be able to go to college. So what can you? This is what you would do. And if I did that, the first one I would have joined was a real estate organization, because that's always been my biggest weakness, right? And I would have known real estate in a year. Probably would have took the real estate license class over the summer when I was on break, and then I would have been selling houses as a sophomore in college, but still going to school. Like, you could do several things. You can do everything you want to do. That's the thing I leave people with. And then learn how to learn. There's always a different way, and just give what you want first. Period. You live like that, you're gonna be good. I promise.
I love this. You have just really been so spot on with everything that you shared. Solutions, never giving up, enriching your life by being around others that can help educate you. And in turn, you're going to do the same for others as you go. This ripple
Mhm,
effect is going to be incredible, just like what you've had on millions of people for many, many, many years. And oftentimes, we don't even realize how much we've affected somebody
mhm.
because some of the struggles or challenges we face or these little bumps are right here, and we don't realize all the things that we've done to affect the people around us. So keep on pursuing, keep learning, be a sponge, absorb everything that you can, and then use it, because it's going to, like you said, the tentacles are going to end up joining into one thing, and all
Yeah.
of these little pieces are going to fit into something that's really going to make a huge difference. It's incredible what you have going on, your perspective. I really think that the audience is going to embrace everything that you've said. Listen and watch the show repeatedly, just like we do with your music and the Geico commercial and the things that you're involved with, because you're an inspiration. And this has been
Oh,
so exciting.
hey, I was raised well. I've, 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 I've been truly blessed. I've never not known love. These are factors. My parents made me work like a dog, so I don't fear work, and not work in a sense. The work in a sense that they put stipulations with it. Reward and consequences. So if
Yes.
you don't clean your room, can't go play with your friends. That hurts. If you don't go to church, you can't watch football on Sunday. That hurts. You bucket 2 or 3 times, but then it's so painful. Just do right. You just
Yes.
do it anyway. That's where do it anyway comes from. Then you have the transition. Well, there's a blizzard. I'm doing the snow. We got a snow blower, but then Mr. Grant is struggling next door. Let me go do shovel his snow and get his driveway straight. Then I do the whole block. Then the next 2 weeks, I got people calling me when I'm walking home from school. Hey, boy, come here. It's $30. I appreciate you doing my snow last week. Oh, I can make money from doing a chore that my parents only give me $5 a week for. Mm,
I
that
did this
started it.
similar thing younger, back when I could do, go out there and mow my own lawn with
Yeah, that's
I would
definitely,
do mine,
definitely.
and the border of the neighbors was right there. And it was like, well, it's not
Might
going
as
to
well.
take me but another minute to
Yeah, yeah,
finish
yeah,
off his
exactly,
too. So I'm going to
exactly,
just do
exactly,
it.
exactly. But hey, I've had a great time being here with you. I have to go, and I got a meeting at 10, and it doesn't stop. But I love it, right? Just every day, and it just makes life meaningful that you can do whatever. I get to live how I want to live, right? I get to get up and just have fun and work what I want to do. It's a difference. It's a difference. So I
I
hope
love
your
this.
audience got some value out of this conversation, because I know I have, and I appreciate you letting me come on here and run my mouth.
Like Likewise, I've just been tickled to have you on the show because of the value that you bring to others, and that is my passion. So thank you so much for your time
Hmm.
today and sharing such valuable and tangible insight. Thank
Hmm. I appreciate it. You take care. Bye, everybody. Oh yeah, before I go, sprinkles. Oh, I
I
forgot to
love it. I love it. And
take it out.
the audience can just type in tag team. They're
Lucy
going to
Glenn,
find you
tag
everywhere.
team Lucy Glenn. Whoomp, there it is. I'm there. All right.
I want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of Rebecca Sounds Reveille. This has been a fantastic show. We ask that you get this out to all of your friends, family, loved one, everybody you know on social media, and everybody you don't. Thanks for tuning in.